On this episode of the Welcome Back podcast, I spoke with Parker DeKubber, owner of Prime Edge Media, a video marketing company in Michigan. I've known him for a while, and as one of the youngest entrepreneurs that I personally know, I wanted to speak to him and get his perspective on the industry and how he's helping his clients. But when he mentioned his new found faith, that's when things got interesting. I hope you enjoy. We got Parker DeKubber. He is a video production specialist up in Michigan. Why don't you introduce yourself a little bit and kind of tell anybody watching this what you're about?
Sure. So, like Mike said, my name is Parker DeKubber. I own Prime Edge Media up here in West Michigan. Got started back in 2019 and are on our official 5th year now. Let's see. We do full service social media management, photo and video production, and everything that we do is done with high-end DSLRs. So we kind of bridge the gap between regular digital marketing and cinematic photo and video. Okay.
And you're basically strictly doing B2B, right? You work with mostly small businesses, or what is kind of like an ideal client or a current client look like for you?
So most of the ones that we have in the portfolio right now are small to mid-size. Now, there's a few nonprofits just because I've, got a special place in my heart for nonprofits. But yeah, the vast majority are more of the guys that you work with, the very like hands-on, like service-based, small to medium-sized businesses.
Mm-hmm. And you said you started your company in 2019, right? Mm-hmm. And how old are you?
I am 22.
22. I just saw you dropped a video, said I look 12. Of course, I'm not going to know everything. I'm not going to get it all right on the first try, but he's 22. He looks 12, but he's 22. And I've known you for a few years now. We went through a coaching program together, which is where we met. We kind of had like a smaller, I guess you kind of like a mastermind style group going for a little while after that, with some of the guys from that program and other programs, and stayed in touch for a while, and then you kind of broke off, and you kind of just I think from what I understand and from our conversations, you were outgrowing the group in a way, which is awesome. And you just needed to be around. You either needed to spend more time just focusing on running your business instead of chatting with a bunch of guys from around the country, or chat with a bunch of guys from around the country who are a little more ahead than you on the path. Does that sound about fair?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and I think at that time, well, let me go back a little bit. Through the time that I've known you, I've seen you at your highs and at your lows pretty much, like through, I would say one of the best parts of that group that we had go on after the coaching program was, in a lot of ways, different guys in the group at different points really leaned on that group to help them through some low points, myself included. I know you were struggling with some stuff for a little while. Some of the other guys were. I'm not going to call them out since they're not here, but I'll speak for myself. I know that I leaned on this group of guys who basically had a similar idea as me, a similar plan as me. We're in the same industry, similar passions. And I thought it was really powerful to have that group for as long as we did. Now, after you left, I want to say maybe one other guy left, and then I left right after that small group for a similar reason. I just felt like I was kind of outgrew a lot of the guys in the group. I wasn't getting a lot of inspiration or motivation from them, and I was just kind of using it as an excuse to waste time. If you're going to spend an hour or two on a fucking Zoom call once a week, a couple times a week, you better be getting some value out of it. And if you're not, you're just kind of avoiding running your own business, which is what I was doing at periods. Right. So Just being like fully transparent there. Did you feel like at some points that was kind of what you were experiencing too?
Oh, I felt that at a lot of points. Absolutely. I mean, because it's always, like business is fucking hard. Also, can I say fuck on here?
Yeah, I mean, it's YouTube.
Okay, cool.
And nobody's going to see this, so it doesn't matter.
Fair enough. But yeah, like business is fucking hard, man. And like, especially when you don't know what the hell you're doing, like this is all of our first time on earth, and this is also most of our first time ever running a business. And through all of that, like, I don't think people understand the magnitude and the resilience that it really takes to run a successful business. Um, and so, yeah, of course, we were absolutely hiding from what we had to do because it was fucking hard, and unfortunately, unfortunately, what I had to kind of learn after getting out of that group was all the problems that I was dealing with would only get worse if I didn't just run right through them.
Hmm.
And I was fortunate enough to gain a partner last year, and he has completely just flipped the business around, and it's been freaking awesome.
Yeah. You're speaking about Justin, his name is?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, how powerful was it for you to find that? Well, actually, tell me, before you linked up with Justin, where were you at with the business? Where were you at, like, motivation wise, growth wise, just kind of like mentally with running your business as a young man? Just kind of like blazing your own path over there, in your town. What was the situation before you met Justin? Because from the outside looking in, it does seem like in a lot of ways, that Justin helped kind of steer you back in the right direction. So that's pretty awesome to see that.
Absolutely. Um, Honestly, right before then, I had a fork in the road, because it was either keep going down this path of just this way that I thought I had to run my business. As well as I do, the coaching space definitely does not always have your best interest in mind. And I was in my sixth coaching program at that time, and it was just another fucking coaching program that wanted to build a business or wanted me to build a business that benefited them, not me. And I had realized that and finally like broke off. But I wasn't happy with what I was doing at all. So it was either I'm going to just close up shop and I'm going to go be fractional CMO at this other company. And now I'm fractional CMO at two other companies while still doing this. But it was either that or like keep doing what I was doing or figure something else out. And um, so what's kind of interesting is when we first met a few years ago, I was not religious in any sense at all, and I definitely over this last year have kind of found my path to faith. And um,
Muslim.
what's
Just taking a guess. Shot in the dark here. No, go ahead.
oh,
Tell your story, man. Hold on, I need to grab something. Hold on. It's so far away. I like cut my thumb open as we hit record, and it's just like bleeding all over my desk. Okay,
Jesus.
I have a paper towel now. We're good.
Okay.
Didn't have to go down this way. So yeah, you're on this journey this past
Yep.
year,
Yep.
and
Yep.
you
Yep.
find faith.
Yes.
Are you comfortable sharing what finally happened? Like what was the catalyst to bring you over the edge?
Yeah. And so what's kind of interesting is there wasn't really a catalyst. It was more of a lot of unexplainable shit falling into place. So at that time, I was like near dead broke and had no motivation to do anything really, much less run my business. And at that time, Justin reached out and he was just like, "Hey, I'm an editor. I moved here from Arizona and I'm just looking for work. Do you have anything that I can work on?" And I kind of blew him off at the time because I didn't really know, where I wanted to go. And not to mention, I'm like, dude, I don't have the money to pay anyone. Like, I don't have the money to pay me, So like, just subbing stuff out just wasn't in the cards at the moment. Um, And I'm trying to think through like chronological order here. Um, but long story short, in a couple months, I decided that when things started picking back up, that I was going to try and stick it out. And I figured like my entire mentality was I'm either going to win or I'm going to fucking die. And it was one of those two things. I mean, I couldn't see a path where I wasn't doing this, and that's what was really hard. But something just kept like pushing me. And then I brought Dustin on for a BTS shoot. He shot better than every single shooter that I had on set, including me. And then I brought him on to a couple other projects. And by, I think, the second or third one, he was directing my director and like doing a better job and like not being a dick about it either. Like that's what shocked me was he was being super cool about it. And afterward, I typically will buy lunch for the guys or whatever once we get done. And we went and just had a powwow, sat down, and he was the only one that actually showed. And we started talking about different things like, where he came from. He had started his own company back in Arizona. He's got a cinematography degree. He went to college for it, and was just like doing the thing, and by the time that we met, I think I was 20, so he was 30 at the time, and he was just kind of getting his life restarted. He had just gone through a divorce and had moved back here because here was home for him, and had just met his now fiance and was just trying to figure things out. And we got into a conversation somehow about small businesses and ROI. And as well as I do that plenty of creators in our space don't give a shit about ROI. They just want to make cool looking shit. And that has been one of the most frustrating things for me in what I do, is that like people don't like marketers because marketers make promises and don't keep them, and video production companies make pretty shit and they charge way too much for it and it doesn't do anything, and that's just the stigma. And he was really the only person that I'd ever met that worked with me that actually got that. And he's like, yeah, man, like, you have to be consistent on social. You have to make sure that you're building know, like, and trust through your content. And like, it takes time, and like, people just don't get that. And just he repeated back to me all of these things that I had been saying, to the people that I was working with, and, just to my friends and people. Like, I wasn't even posting about it on social. So like, there's no way he could have known what we were talking about. And it was just so like, weirdly specifically what I had been saying, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like, and after we had that conversation, I was like, we need to do something. Like, I don't know if it's like having him do all my editing. I don't know if it's having him do like all the shoots or like what, but like, we have to stay connected. So we did for a while. He did some editing for me and kicked ass at that. And then I had asked him, I'm like, how would you feel about doing some sort of partnership deal? I have this idea for monthly packaged content. And like, I want to get away from the custom stuff. I want to get away from doing like the long form stuff, like you do. And I want to, just focus on helping people grow on social. That's it. That's all I wanted to do. And he was like, dude, that's what I've been trying to do for like 10 years. I just never had the systems for it. And for me, like, I'm a huge systems guy. I'm not the best shooter in the world at all. In fact, he runs circles around me now. But what I am good at is business. And, and that was just like, the connection was a little too perfect. And he is very religious himself. And that's kind of where all of this kind of started. But he kind of explained to me, how he had been thinking through everything, and he had actually been praying about it, and he said that it was basically something that was kind of manifested on his end, and weirdly enough, it was for me too. I'm like, I need to find someone or something that's going to help get me to the next level because I can't get there. And what what had happened next was, I mean, he just broke a shitload of beliefs. He is like the eternal like optimist. Just like any bit of like, I don't even know what you would call it, like any just bit of like worry or stress or like things that would normally bring those things on. He's like, oh, whatever, and it was just so nice to have someone in my corner genuinely being like, it's not a big deal. Like, let's just work through it, and having that like ride or die. And so I guess fast forward through that, getting to where we are right now, we've kind of shifted away from using a lot of subcontractors, and we're pushing into working with people full time. And what I also realized with him is that he could he could replace 3 guys, like minimum, typically 4. Um, so he was running circles around everyone. So it also saved me a bunch of money. And I was like, dude, we need to partner. So now we have a rev share deal that's turning into a partnership eventually. And yeah, it's just been insanely good. And what makes me feel the best about it is that what we're using right now to market ourselves and to gain business are our own system. Like, we literally work with a package that like we sell to our clients. Like, we're a client in our own CRM. But then also doing the one thing that every single coach that we had told us was bullshit: networking in person.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, he and I have just been just very like yin and yang. He now is my appointment setter because I don't like networking at all. I suck at it, and I'm much better, just kept away in my little office as a hermit. And he doesn't like doing any of the system stuff. He doesn't like, planning out production. He doesn't like doing any of that stuff. I thrive in it. And it's just been a very good like give and take on both ends. And just having someone who also has the same motivation that I do, and sometimes more than I do, and more confidence in what we're doing has, I think that's been the thing that has really propelled us.
You started this answer and you place a lot of emphasis on the fact that you were never really religious. In this past year, you kind of been going through some religious growth. You started
Mm.
talking about it a little bit, but then
Mm.
I know you long enough to know that shiny things will distract you and pull you down
Yes.
other avenues. So I'm going to bring it back a little bit. I want to talk about your systems, and I want to talk specifically about how you set out to help um, your clients, these small business owners in your area, because I'm very interested in that, and I feel like a lot of people who will see this will get value out of that specifically. So I do want to talk about that. But the root of these conversations always, for me, comes down to why somebody does what they do and how they got there, right?
Mm.
So you seem to place some emphasis on this, like you wanted to talk about it a little more, and then you kind of skimmed through it a little bit. So I'm just going to ask you
Yep.
very specifically. Um, you said Justin is very religious. Is he a Christian, some sort of
Mm.
Christian denomination or non-denominational? I don't know. Do you know?
Um, just a Christian.
Just Christian, just regular old Michigan Christian. And I'm assuming that's the path that you're going down as well.
Hmm?
Okay. Um, was there a point in this past year where you started praying or you started hearing the messages? You said things lined up, too many things lined up for it to, I don't know if you said for it to be a coincidence, but that was kind of
Mm-hmm.
what you were alluding to. What were
Yeah.
some of the things that were happening that you were seeing or hearing or realizing and then attributing it to allowing you to explore your faith, or your entering a faith. I'm guessing, you know.
So it's kind of interesting. And it was a very, I mean, you've known me long enough. You'll know exactly what I mean by when I say it was a very me entrance into exploring this. So I was very, 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 very skeptical, and I've always had a bit of belief in just there being something bigger, and because there's just a lot of things that when you really think about them don't add up until you put them in context. So like trying to think back, like what were, because it wasn't just one thing. um hmm
And I think it rarely is one thing. It's usually one thing backed by another, backed by another, backed by another, till you start going, "What the heck is going on here?" And then you remember
yeah.
the guy who like gave you a cross pendant 3 weeks ago and said, "You'll need this," and then you get a flashback to like, "Oh shit, that guy, the homeless guy under the bridge, gave me that cross." And I know that's kind of like how it happened for me, but I'm just interested in this because I'm very young in my faith with Christ as well.
Yeah.
I couldn't quote you a single scripture to save my life, other than like the most popular ones, and even those ones I would botch.
Same
But
here.
I have found a lot of strength and opportunity in putting faith in something bigger than us. Something bigger than thinking that I had to find all the answers, or I had to understand everything. Something that I'm learning with faith is that that's what faith is. It's just trusting the unknown and believing in that, and allowing you enough freedom to not get in your own way sometimes. And that's how I've utilized it. But I'm struggling right now in my faith, which is why I wanted to talk about this a little more.
Mhm.
Um, I find myself separating a little bit from Christ, and not for anything in particular, other than maybe, like business has been slow at the beginning of this year. So, when times are hard, it's real easy to just, the suck just piles on.
Mhm.
So it's like, oh man, business is slow. And then this other thing happens. Then this other thing happens. And it's like trying to find my way back to this place where I was like 6 months ago or a year ago, where I was like on fire and it was hard. Not that everything, like I professed that Christ was my Lord and Savior, but nothing got easy after that. It all got very difficult after that. But it did seem like I felt like more that things were gonna work out, even though I couldn't control it. Right now, I'd feel kind of the opposite of that, which is my own fucking battle that I'm going through. But yeah, I was just wondering what you were dealing with at that time that opened up this door for you to start exploring faith.
So Um, so there were three like key people that really helped me kind of get more open to the idea. Um, because I mean, in the time that we met, I was under the impression that Christianity and religion in general was just a kind of a construct that was made around helping people feel better about themselves and giving them purpose when they didn't have any. And for the longest time, that's all I thought that religion was. I just thought it was just some made up bullshit to, help depress people. And at the time, I was like, shit, I'm fucking depressed. I've got a bunch of this shit going on, and I don't want to deal with any of this. And that's not how I feel. It doesn't make me feel better. And Justin had told me, he goes, just go sit with him. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, what does that mean? Where is he? He's on a bench
And
somewhere.
right, and he goes, no. He goes, and I'm into meditation as well. And I've kind of paired the two. And he's like, just go into meditation tonight and just sit there for like 5-10 minutes. And and he gave me like a mantra to say, like he gave me something to kind of, just put out there. And it was something along the lines of, if like I did what I feel like a lot of people do, and kind of like tried testing a lot. It's like it was a lot of, if this is real, show me, you know, and what so I mean basically that's what I did. And I was just like, if this is real, like if any of this actually exists like people say it does, like help me get out of this shit, help me get out of where I'm at. And I look back on that because life was still hell for the next probably 3 months. But for whatever reason, I felt, I guess, more supported. And I didn't know why. And, and I still have like a few things that I question. And one of the things that I question a lot is, if this omnipotent being who knows all and has unconditional love for everyone and everything, why did my twin brother die at 5 days old? And that's always been a question that I had. And it was explained to me fairly decently, and I don't fully remember how it was explained. But after I got my explanation, a lot of things started making a bit more sense. And I had a lot of trouble with, I guess the whole like we have free will, yet there's a plan set out for every single one of us. But if we have free will, we're just allowed to go out there and fuck it up, And it's like, okay, if this God figure really wants us to, do well, like, why aren't we pushed down the right path? Why are there people addicted to meth and heroin? Why are there people that, boil their infants? Like, why is this a thing? And after all of that was kind of explained to me, I heard the story of, or I guess it's not a story, but footprints in the sand. Are you familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and I think honestly, that may have been the catalyst. If there's like one thing I had to like pinpoint, it was listening to that story and with a friend of mine who now owns one of the businesses that I'm fractional CMO in. They're also very religious. Like their whole family is super, super, super religious. And she kind of walked me down the path of, okay, this is where you were 3 months ago. Now look at all these things that are starting to line up in the way that they lined up. So for example, started those 2 partnerships. Immediately things got better. And I had a couple other things happen where just 2 random people came out of nowhere and signed like $20,000 or $30,000 contracts. And like I didn't even know who they were. And that hadn't happened in, it was probably over a year at that point. There was that. Then there was Justin in that amount of time. Or I guess like right before that. And just all of these little things that now I can't even remember, but I just know, at just going through it, I guess, like there were a lot of things that would be more difficult to, I guess it would be more difficult to explain how it happened on its own, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And also there's one other piece to that too, is that so that same person I was talking to you about was she's also a surgeon's assistant. And I've heard this before, but she goes, I'm in surgery every single day, and I get to look at the anatomy that people don't get to look at every day. She goes, you look at all of that and how that's laid out and where it comes from. She goes, how the fuck could we make that happen in the world that we know today? And I don't have the answer.
Yeah, well, scientists will tell you they just require you to believe in one miracle, and that is the Big
Yeah.
Bang. It all started with a bang. Can't really explain any of it or what happened before it or what really is going on since it. But even science will require some faith. Yeah, I think. First of all, thank you for sharing your story. I
Yeah,
think it
and actually,
helps.
hold on, one
Yeah,
more thing before you go on, because ADHD and I'm not going to remember. But just going off of what you had mentioned, one thing that has really helped me in those times when shit gets rough is knowing that if I want it, I will be supported. But when I start to question whether or not I'll be supported, all of a sudden I feel a lot more weight. I
mm-hmm.
feel less supported. I feel more alone, and in like unexplainably, like it wouldn't just happen, if I were just like convincing myself of all these things. And I think that's been one thing that I've like really struggled with in the past and through like this whole journey is, like, okay, that's awesome, but what happens when we totally suck in like October, November, December, and like nobody's buying and we're all concerned about our bills and like we don't know what we're doing and whatever, what gets us through that time? And I truly do think that if we get pessimistic in those times, then I would almost think that, this God figure's looking at us being like, really? You wanted all this shit to be sunshine and rainbows? Like, how do you think you got here? And I think about that a lot. Because, I know at least a lot of people in the group. I don't know if you're one of them. Listen to Alex Hormozy, and he's also one of the most like anti-religion people there are on the planet. But one thing that he has said is, what was it? Just had it.
It's in there somewhere, just rolling around. It's rolling around. You know when it'll show up? Right when I stop recording. You're like, oh, I remember what that Alex quote was.
Hold on, I'm trying to think of where I was going.
Well, it's all right. We don't want too much dead air. If you happen to think about it, you think about it. The point that you're making though is well taken.
Got it.
There he is. He's
so,
back, baby. Welcome back.
So if if you were in a video game and you were trying to, create a character that could, endure anything, and could, I don't know, like beat the hell out of whatever it came across and, could run for miles and, do all of these crazy things, what would you do to that character in the game to get those traits? You don't just get to click a button, and well, in some you do, but most of the time you don't get to just click a button and unlock all the levels. Like, you have to play through it. And it fucking sucks when you have to go through level 6 for the 42nd time because you can't get through it. And so I think about that with with religion, and I think, well, if God really wants to, if I was really put on earth to, make a difference and own this business and help people, show off their amazing businesses in one of the best ways that we know how, and being able to run a business from the age of 17 till now and continue scaling from there. Why on earth would that journey be easy? You know? So that that's one thing that really gets me through a lot of stuff, is just thinking about it logically. I if I want you, it's the whole like gentle parenting like dynamic. Like a lot of people, um I think in your generation had kind of, not had great childhoods, or, their parents were too rough with them or whatever. So they overcorrected in the other direction with their kids, and they gave them everything that they wanted. And now those kids can't contribute to society because they've never been through shit, and I think it's kind of the same way.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had a great childhood. I just got my ass beat pretty bad over and over again by a lot of people. But I turned out okay, and I don't hit my son, but it's because I don't believe it's required. Although sometimes you really want to fucking smack the shit out of them because they do deserve it sometimes. But I restrain. I've learned a lot of restraint. No, I think what a lot of what you're touching on is energy, right? Like you're putting a certain energy out there. So when times are tough, it's super easy um, to amplify that negativity, that negative energy, that pessimist, way of thinking, and those negative ripples, reach out and they create more, and that's kind of what you get. But when you have an approach that it sounds like Justin has, where it's like, oh yeah, I mean, okay, well, I guess couldn't avoid that, but yeah, we'll just figure it out now. That way of thinking, not as easy to do, but does relieve you of having to carry this burden of feeling like you need to be able to control all parts of every circumstance. And I think when you find faith, and it's probably with a lot of faiths, but I don't have experience with a lot of faiths. So when you give yourself to Christ, a part of that is understanding that there are things that are out of your control, that why are you going to stress about it, because you can't control it anyway. And earlier you said something like, well, we have free will, but then God has this whole plan for us. Yes, but the way I look at religion is, or faith is, just because you profess your devotion to whatever God you choose, it doesn't mean that everything good is going to happen to you now. It doesn't mean that it just happens automatically. It actually kind of means the opposite. If you really do believe in a good versus evil fight that's going on, then you do believe that if you give yourself as a warrior for God, then the other side, the dark side, right, the devil, Satan, whatever you want to call it, is knows that and is going to try 10 times as hard now to bring you back over to his side. So there is this battle going on. It's something that I've been aware of for a very long time, but I only entered faith recently in the past few years. But it all kind of made sense to me. But with faith, you still have to show up. So, like, if you believe in Christ, great. I love that. I think that's nothing bad is going to come from that for you. But you still have to show up. You don't get to just say, oh, I believe I'm a Christian now, and now everything is just easy road. We still got to show up and do what we're supposed to do. We got to do our part, right? So there's no amount of good deeds that will get you into heaven. There's no amount, if you're a Christian and you believe in Christ and the Bible. The only thing that will get you into heaven is through Him, through Christ, through God, and your faith in Him. Um, so you could do a lot of great things in life, but it doesn't give you a fucking pass into the gates. And I think this is where a lot of people start losing it, right? They go, oh, I have to profess my undying love and devotion, or else I don't get in. And it's like, yeah, I guess if you believe in the Bible, that is how it goes. Like, there is no other way to heaven. It says very clearly in the Bible, but through Him, through Christ. So that, but then this is where you start losing a lot of people, because a lot of people don't want to commit themselves fully, really, to anything, but especially to a religious belief, because now you have to, like I said earlier, it's faith. You're not going to understand it all. You're not meant to understand it all. The Bible is very long. It has a lot of different books and chapters in it and verses. Not all of them are for you. Some of them are written for other people, other times, other situations. And faith requires that you kind of relinquish that ego of I need to understand and control everything. And I think once you do that, what I felt was very similar to what you explained, where it's like I think you said I felt supported. I felt like, yeah, I wasn't alone. For a while there before I found myself in into Christianity, I was feeling very. I mean, I was in a bad way. I was feeling pretty freaking lonely. And when it all kind of switched for me, that was the one thing that I noticed as well. I never said that I felt supported, but that is a way of saying the same thing. I just felt like there was something else there that was carrying me, right? Like the footprints in the sand thing is a great story, great analogy for that, because it's like, yeah, when things are good, uh, you could walk yourself. Like when things are good, you could do the walking yourself. When things are bad, that's when he's going to carry you. All right. And that's where you see the one set of footprints in the sand. So, yeah, very, very interested in just kind of exploring that a little more with you. So thank you for sharing. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I
and
know.
actually, before we move on, I got a couple other things on that I, thought of just kind of while you were talking. And if we do go over, it's cool because I'm enjoying the conversation.
Okay.
Um, so, a couple things on that. One, the point about when things are good, you can walk yourself. Um, that was one thing that I struggled with because when it started out, I used to only have faith when shit sucked.
Yeah.
You
Like
know,
most people. Yeah.
yeah, and like that's what like what's the saying? Everybody meets God on their deathbed or in prison,
Hmm.
and I mean it's true, but I had to kind of think about it. And I'm like, okay, well, if I were this, you know, big omnipotent, ever loving being, how would I feel if you just, only showed up when you were pissed off and everything sucked? I wouldn't be very happy about that because you're not seeing all the things that I'm doing for you in the meantime when shit's good.
Hmm.
So that was one big thing for me is I'm, consistently trying to make sure that, I mean, because it's the same with business. If you don't pay attention to what you're doing right, when shit starts going wrong, it's already way too late.
Hmm.
And I've kind of carried that through my faith as well in thinking about it like, okay, if that's the case, then I need to be even more thankful and pray more and, do more to exercise my faith now so that when shit gets tough, I can pull back a little bit, focus on the problem that I need to, and, know and trust fully that I'm going to be carried through that.
Hmm.
Um, and the, so the other part in that, so one of my I guess one of my like bigger challenges with it too is, kind of like what you said with just being at a, I guess not so great state, and finally you start looking at all these different options and whatever. And I think it's really like what people need to understand is um like when you're in that spot and you feel like shit and you're like, but I'm doing all of these horrible things, I'm lying to the people around me, I'm doing drugs and drinking and doing all of these like awful things that you're not supposed to do, and you think like you have to be perfect in order to get into religion. But what I was told and what like really kind of motivated me to like get into it was Justin told me, you don't need to be perfect to start. You just have to be willing to learn. And if you're willing to learn, those things are just going to go away on their own. And that has been something that's like super profound for me, because I am not perfect at all. None of us are. Like, and really, that has been the one thing that's made me okay with it, because I also know that he's okay with it, because we're not bred to be perfect. We're bred to fucking learn and contribute to society and do cool shit with cool people and get in the cool place, you know? And I don't think that any of that would happen if we weren't all, I guess, a little fucked up, you know?
Yeah, well, Christ isn't looking for perfect. He's
Right.
not. I mean, he's quite literally looking for the opposite. He's looking for those that are diseased and broken and beaten and drug addicts and prostitutes and sinful. And there is only if, and again, in regard to Christianity, if you believe what the Bible says and you believe in the word, God gave his only son and died on the cross for our sins. So we did not have to carry that burden of trying to be perfect as Jesus was. He lived a perfect life and he brought that to the cross with him and he died for our sins. So that is literally what the whole deal was, right? So you don't have to feel like, oh, I have to be perfect every single day. No, you don't. And if you find a good church, like and again, this is just my opinion, I go to a non-denominational because well, I found Christ when I was 38 years old. I'm 41 now. So for 38 years of my life, I was never pushed to believe anything. My mother's Jewish, my father's Irish Catholic, went to church a couple times, went to the temple a couple times, but nothing set in stone, nothing, no like real belief system set in there growing up. So, you know, when I found my church, which is a very long story, so I'm not going to repeat it here. If anybody's seen, name one of my fucking conversations, you've heard this story before. But in my opinion, what felt good for me when finding a church was the only thing that they ask of you is to have faith. That's it. You don't even have to be a Christian. Just have faith and have an open heart. That's it. And allow, if the opportunity comes, for Christ to enter that opening into your heart. So it sounds to me like you have a very strong brother in Christ in Justin, and I implore you to keep exploring your faith, whatever that means for you, and lean on Justin, because if he's reading, especially, and he's spending time with God every day, he's going to be an invaluable source for you along your own journey. I think everybody needs somebody. It's somebody, and this is kind of like perfect segue. Just like Christ, you need a mentor, somebody who's been on the road before you. In business, you need a mentor, right? Coaching. That's kind of like the idea behind coaching is like you get you get to, if the program is good and the coaching suits you, you get to cut the line, so in some ways, because you're learning from the mistakes that they already made, that you don't have to spend the next 5, 10, 20 years making, the whole spiel that the gurus give. You said earlier that you were in like your 6th coaching program at the time when you found Justin. You were going through all this transitioning. What the hell were you doing in number 5 and number 4 and number 3 and number 2 that you were doing in number 6, that you were just like, hey, none of these are working? Like, what is going on there? Because and I'm not trying to fucking throw you under the bus here or nothing, but if I do one program and I go, all right, this isn't a good fit for me, then I do a second one, I'm like, this one sucks. I do a third one, I'm like, that guy's a dick. The fourth one, the fifth one, the sixth one. What was going on in all these different programs that you felt like wasn't lining up for you, and you weren't finding that mentorship that you were looking for, that decided, hey, none of these are working? What is going on? How much of that is the different coaching programs, and how much of that is on you processing information or taking action on things? Like, explain that to me a little bit, and what your perspective is in coaching programs and finding a mentor, and your own experience going through all these programs.
So I've got a very unique perspective that I don't want anyone else to like. I don't want anyone to use my story as a reason to or to not seek out coaches because it's very unique. I got into my first coaching program at 17 years old. I was sold the idea that if I spent $2,500 a month, that money would rain from the sky and everything would be sunshine and fucking rainbows. And it just wasn't. And I thought, oh, okay, so maybe it's just like their system is shitty. Then the next one that I got into, they were what?
This is not the one that we were in, right? This is before we had met.
No, that one. So the one that we were in was number 5.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. Keep going then. Keep explaining.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then the second one, they were just scammers. Found that out within like 2 weeks. And then they
In
then they
what
got
way? There was no like actual program set in place. They were just taking money, or
there was a program. They were just grossly overcharging and under delivering. They got sued probably 6 months after I left, and they didn't win. But then number 3, they were doing something very similar to. In fact, 3, 4, and 5 all did something very similar to what you and I were originally in. And it was more and more. I thought the more and more that I niched down into like more, I guess, specialized coaches, the better it would be. And really all I found was it was the same regurgitated bullshit from the dude down the road. And it was all shit that worked in very specific circumstances and very specific niches, or in a very specific way 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And that was the big problem with I would say with 4 and 5 is like in the program that we were in, it was a very big cultural difference between where they were and where we are. And I mean, from my experience, how they do business is not a way that I want to.
Yeah. I was going to bring up the international aspect of that, where they're from, maybe what they're preaching works really well there, because maybe in Sweden they are 5 years behind the rest of the fucking planet. I don't know, but I was going to bring that point up, so I'm happy you said that. Yeah, because that is like the one thing that really stuck out to me, because I had a fine experience. I made a ton of money in it. I learned a lot, but I also had no choice. Like, it had to work for me. Know my situation. I could fucking hash it out here again, but yeah, I feel like I was in a little bit different of a spot mentally, where I would have fucking made anything work at that time. And you had already, this is course number 5, so you're remembering 1 through 4 and going like, what the like, again, I'm in another thing that's just like whipping me around without results. So yeah, you felt like the cultural shock, and then the just the style of it wasn't a really good fit for you. I know you had said that back then too.
Yeah. It just sucked. And what I found is every single one of these programs went against my personal values in some way, shape, or form. And the reason that I blame the vast majority of this on myself is because, and not that it was like my fault, as in I should have known, but just the fact that I don't have a whole lot of life experience. And I had a lot of things through my childhood that made me not trust myself in what I was doing. I was always, just always had this constant like imposter syndrome all the time about every fucking thing that I did. And that's what I thought through these programs. It's me. Like, there's an issue with something that I'm doing that I just keep fucking this up over and over and over. It works for all of these people, so why isn't it working for me? Well, here's the fucking problem with these programs. Just like any other company on the planet, you're not going to show people how shitty your shittiest clients have been in your marketing. You're not going to do that. What you are going to show is the crazy fucking successes that a couple people have had because they did okay in a couple different areas that just so happened to help you.
Mhm.
And that's also one thing that I've changed in my own company. Like now when we market, like I'm very upfront with people. Like, look, this is the reason that these people with 20,000 followers get, a consistent 4 and 5,000 views on all their videos. Like it's because they've already done all the fucking work and they've got, all these other things going for them. Whereas you, I think you're going to have a little bit harder time here and, you might want to do this over here. And that's just not something that any of these programs really took the time to implement. Is like, what does your business look like? What are your mission, vision, values? What do you plan on doing with this company? Because all they're worried about is how much money you're paying them next month.
Is it fair to explain it like they're trying to take all of these different business owners and fit them into a box that they created because there has been some successes there, so they're trying to fit everybody into this box instead of creating a box for all of these different types of businesses or personalities or styles? And
Um,
in all fairness, I don't even know if that's scalable to do it that way. That might be great for like a very small coaching program to say, hey, we got a dozen people. I'm able to spend a lot of time figuring out what Parker, what his approach should be, and I craft something right for him that might work fucking great for you, but then for Mike, it absolutely fucking sucks, right? Because Mike's got a different style and a different a different approach. So in defense of coaching programs, I'll say I don't know if it's scalable to do it that way. It is certainly preferable, I would think, to do it that
um,
way.
well, here's my counter to that. It may not be scalable, but is the way that they're currently doing it ethical?
Um, it depends.
Because I don't think so. When we think of the normal coaching business model, they are trying to cram a bunch of people into a box. In fact, when you said that, what I was more so thinking is like I'm picturing like a giant box and them standing over it with the lid, just beating everyone in the head, trying to get them to fit. Like that's the vibe that I got. But they claim, okay, you get in here and you've got this ridiculous fucking guarantee that you are going to make an ROI within like 10 days or whatever the hell, and or some variation of shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then what they don't tell you is that there's a bunch of other things that they didn't talk about in their marketing that are actually the most important parts and the most frustrating shit to do. And now you have to do it because you agreed that you would do it in order to get that guarantee. And then they're like, once you don't make that, then there's a billion other fucking reasons as to why you didn't do that, even though they told you last week that all you had to do were these things, because they want you to think that it's easy because they want you to do it. And then when you start to realize that, no, the shit ain't easy, it fucking sucks. Once you start to realize that, you're already in too deep. You've already paid them the money. You've already, gotten to where they want you. So you just keep going,
Mm-hmm.
and also I do think, and by the way, if you're watching this and you're a fucking coach and you're like wanting to find where I live and beat the hell out of me, I get it.
Dearborn, Michigan. Dearborn, Michigan. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Go to Dearborn.
That's
Not
the only
here.
part of Michigan I know off the top of my head.
Oh, that makes me sad.
Yeah, me
Because
too.
it's the worst part. Anyway, so um and so this doesn't go for all coaching programs, but what I noticed, especially in the last two, were they make the relationship seem so personable that you feel afraid to tell them your concerns. And that was one of the most like sickening parts of it for me, was like, I'm paying you what, $3,000 a month and I can't even come and talk to you, you know?
So wait, say that again because I think that confused me a little bit. They make the relationship feel so personable that you feel like you can't approach them with
Yeah.
what's concerning you.
Yeah. So,
Explain that a
like,
little.
okay. So, let's say you're at Christmas and your mom made some real dog shit food, but she worked her ass off all day and everyone's there. Are you going to tell her that it sucked?
Maybe not in front of everybody.
And
Maybe
that's
when
the
everybody
exact
leaves.
same
So,
thing.
but I would feel confident saying, "Hey, mom, real quick, come here. I got to tell you something. The ham sucks. I don't even eat ham, but she always makes a ham. But
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, all right. So that makes sense to me. And you already prefaced it, but I'll state it again. Not all coaching programs are
Nope.
created equally. Some are good. Now, some that maybe Parker went through, and I only have the one experience, and you shared that experience with me. At least the pro going through the same program. So we have like two different viewpoints of the same program, and not entirely different viewpoints, but we certainly, I think, came out the other end with different levels of satisfaction. Let's say I'm just like trying to be super nice here. Um,
I'm not.
and I only have the one program to kind of like base this off of. But you went through six different programs and found similar overlaps in this area that you know clearly when they're promoting a program they're saying, hey, video business owner, you want to make 10 grand a month, we're going to help you make 10 grand a month in the first month, and you're like, oh shit. But what they don't tell you in clear English up front is, well, you got to make sure that you watch chapters 1 through 7 and you do this little worksheet and you do this other thing and you come into a call you said earlier, you said there's like give me an example of one of these things where you felt like there was like a small print that they weren't showing you when you said, hey, I don't feel like this is really working out, and then they came back and you said, hey, well, you didn't flip the bottle upside down 3 times when we told you to on Tuesday. What is something that you felt like was small print that they should have been more upfront about?
You want that program specifically, or
No,
can
no,
I
no.
give you a better
Any
one?
one of them, just like in general. Yeah, if you have a better one,
All right.
a more
Yep.
crazy one. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was the very first one. And by the way, I guarantee you've seen his ads. So,
Who is it?
um,
Well, I don't know. Depends what you're going to say, but I'll guess, and then you blink twice if if I say the right name. Is it
well,
Landon Rhodes? That's the only
no,
person I can think of.
um, no. I'll give you a hint. He's got a Australian accent and wears the exact same thing in every piece of content that he does because branding or some shit. Anyway,
Australian accent. All
so,
right, I'll figure it out after. Go ahead.
um, so they were a ads based company. They made their system just sound like fucking the like craziest miracle on earth. Really, it was Facebook ads. That's all it was.
Yeah.
It's fucking Facebook ads. And they had templates to like build a website funnel and a lead magnet and all that shit. Well, here's the thing. They said that you would what they say I would make. They said I would double what I paid within like 3 months or something. And if I didn't, they would like triple my money back. Now already, I mean, at 17, I don't blame 17-year-old Parker for not seeing this, but like now I see that and I'm like, you're going to triple my money back. Really? So, and especially for what I was paying, that was fucking ridiculous. So what they didn't tell you is on top of what you were already paying, which is like $3,000, you also had to pay a minimum of a G in ad spend a month. And if you couldn't afford that, then you had to do cold outreach. And your cold outreach was this very, very aggressive 12 email sequence that you had to go buy a list and put it through this big program. You were emailing like 500 fucking people a day and had to hire a VA to go get the list and whatever. And all I got out of that for a month, and keep in mind, 500 a day. So that's how many a week? 15. Yeah, 25,000 a week. I think. Or no, 2,500 a week. Jesus. It's been a long day.
That's why I didn't attempt to do it. That remedial math will get you every time.
Yeah.
Make you look retarded.
So, yeah. So yes, 10,000 people I reached out to in a month, and I got um I got a couple of fuck yous, got a couple of death threats, and like take me off your list probably 1,000 times, and like that was pretty much it. And I was
No
like,
quality leads with that amount of outreach.
not a single one.
Yeah.
Um, And now, to be fair, my offer sucked at the time, but they didn't care about that. They just cared about you using their system and getting the thing that they guaranteed as quickly as humanly possible, so
Hmm.
they could get you off their ass. And I didn't. So I, went to them and I was like, hey, what the hell's going on? And I really wasn't getting the value for the money either. Like, the founder was supposed to be on a weekly call every week and like missed 3 out of the 4 weeks, and it sucked. Um, and
It's hard
what
to, in all fairness, hard to keep track of time when you're in Dubai or some other foreign majestical land spending your students' money.
I Yeah, yep. And that's exactly what was happening. So but I told them like, hey, I want I want a refund. Like, I'm tired of this shit, or at least like something partial back. Like, you didn't follow through. And it was after this like first month, because it took like, I think 2 or 3 months or so to like get to the guarantee point. I just wasn't there. They wanted you to record all of your sales calls so that they could listen to all of them. And right out of the gate, they never told you to record your calls. So I was already disqualified for the guarantee because I hadn't recorded anything. And I took like 2 calls that were already warm outreach anyway. And, didn't record them because I didn't think I needed to. And like, already that disqualified me. And then they had a list of probably 100 different things. No joke, it was like 4 pages of like things that you had to do to qualify for the guarantee that they didn't talk about at all, and you were disqualified guaranteed by one of them. And yeah, I mean, that's what it was, and it just put an awful fucking taste in my mouth. And that's actually why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. We have a little community that is a anti-coaching program model. I don't guarantee shit. I've got a whole course. We meet every week, and I don't miss that fucking call for anything. And I have people that we're constantly messaging and, just keeping up with, because they're all our friends now. And for us, it's like, if you didn't get the value, like, no, we're not necessarily going to give you money back for like the months that you've been in it, that you've had access to all of our shit for. But I'm not going to guarantee that like you're going to make a bajillion fucking dollars and then, not follow through on that. Like, that's just dumb. Instead, I'm very upfront with people like, look, this is a lot of fucking work, and this is why it's so cheap, because you have to do all the legwork. And if you don't, you're going to fucking fail. But we're going to be there to hold your hand if you want it, and like that, I think, is really the only ethical way to do things, is like, here's what I've learned. Maybe it'll work for you. Here's what you need to invest to get it, you
Hmm.
know? But yeah.
So let's talk about some of your clients, not specifically, but just some of the experiences that you're having right now with your clients, and some of the systems that you've built and how you're helping your clients. What are some of the like what's your favorite win that you've had that you helped a client achieve recently?
Oh, man. Fuck, dude, that's a tough one. I think the coolest one so far was the second guy we got in our new program that we're running right now. Um, while it wasn't a sale, he's a used car salesman, and he had something happen with, like, I don't know, some, or no, it wasn't him. It was a friend of his from high school had a issue with a car. And he said in his mission video, I want to be everybody's car guy. Like, I want to be like the guy for life, and he is a very like anti used car salesman model. Um, like they don't hard sell. They wear fucking hoodies and jeans and shit. Um, you know, and that's kind of the message that they wanted to put out was like, we're not like everybody else and we just want to be everybody's car guy. And he had this friend, like from high school that he knew that he hadn't spoken to in, I think, 10 or 15 years. And he calls me up and goes, dude, you're not going to fucking believe this. And I was like, oh no, we're getting fired. And it it was that person that he knew called up and said, hey, I'm not looking for a car, but I've got this problem and I'm like right over here. I didn't even know that you guys existed. But I heard that you want to be everybody's car guy, so figured I'd call you. And got it fixed, and then a month later sold her a car that
Hmm.
paid for our entire thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's so many like that.
It's nice to it's nice when the ROI is a tangible thing, even though that wasn't like a
Yes.
direct sale at first. It was this. It's actually almost better in a lot of ways for them to have trust in you when it's, hey, somebody heard what I said. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said this thing in the video that maybe some people would have thought was a throwaway line, but this person heard that, it resonated with them, and then they reached out to me, and then all right, right now I'm just helping them fix their fucking starter, like whatever, but down the road they wind up selling them a vehicle. So that's a huge win. Um, yeah, I feel like that's probably the most powerful because business owners are well, I'll just say most people want to be heard, and they want to know that they're being heard if they're speaking, like if they're having enough courage to put themselves on camera, say something into a microphone, put it out there on social media, make it public. And crickets, it's very difficult to keep pushing along. But once you
Mm-hmm.
get that one little, hey, I heard your video and I heard that you said like, and then they pinpoint something specific instead of like, oh, I saw your little video you put out on Instagram. That was cute. Like that could be a little demoralizing. But when somebody's like, hey, I heard what you said about wanting to help and I actually need some help. So I called you because I thought you were the first person I thought of. Um, that's huge, man. We had
Yep.
a friend of mine who owns a cafe. And we did a product for them that I was calling the branding starter kit. So it was just like a bunch of photos and video. And the one thing was like a little mini mission video. She told her story and it wound up going like viral for her. It was like 10,000 views in like, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 days, which she had never
Hell
seen before.
yeah.
I've never even seen before on my own videos, other than this one stupid turkey video I made. But yeah, freaking and then she was like, yeah, people were like messaging me and saying, man, thank you for sharing your story because I'm dealing with a similar situation in my household. And she was seeing people out at the supermarket and they were recognizing her in her town and saying, hey, I saw your video. You told the story about losing your husband. Like that was really powerful. Thank you so much. And in a lot of ways, that is the best ROI that we could have ever gotten her because she finally felt like she was being heard. The story that she's been wanting to tell, we helped her tell people, and people heard it. And not only did people hear it, people came to support. And that is just like the biggest freaking win in the world. It's nice when somebody can say, hey, that made me $1,000, but it touches a little different when they're like, man, my story is heard and it's helping people. And it encourages them to keep speaking up and helping more people, which is really the goal for us.
So it didn't it didn't happen with a client, but it did technically happen from our system, but it was for us. I so you asking that question just brought this up for me a couple weeks ago. So we're getting the production van wrapped finally, and I just called around like a couple of the bigger places around here, and the guy that I called, I told him, exactly what I needed because honestly, this wrap has been on my fucking vision board for like 3 years. Like I know exactly what I want. And I was kind of laying it out to him, didn't tell him who I was, didn't tell him about the company or anything. And he goes, hold on a minute. Um, I just want to say, like, dude, I love your videos. And I was like, huh? like, because we're on the phone, and I'm like, how do you know I make videos? He goes, you're the Prime Edge Media guy, right? It yes, depends who's asking. And he was like, oh yeah, man, like I watch your videos all the time. Like you and Justin like do an awesome job. And I was like, how the fuck did you know it was me? He's like, oh, I've watched so many of your videos, I can tell by your voice.
Yeah.
Like that's fucking insane. You know? And I'm just waiting for that moment for one of our clients. But
Yeah. Well, that
yeah,
is the point why you're doing content, right? I mean, the biggest
yeah.
takeaway for me with content, and you could just give your own sense on it, but content is very difficult to do for most people because it takes a very long time in most cases for it to be effective. And what effective means to one person is not the same thing as somebody else, but it takes a very long time. Oh, the way that I explained it was it is not apparent that it is working until it is working. And that
Mm.
could take a month, and that could take a year, and that could take 10 years. Who the hell knows? But eventually somebody will do what you just explained to yourself. Like I just went on some guy's podcast, some guy, he owns a very large fabrication company in Pennsylvania. And when I reached out to him on LinkedIn, I had reached out to him like over a year ago. No response. Like many reach outs, no response. But then like New Year, I was like starting to reach back out. I was like going down the list again. Like, hey, I got like 1,000 people in my freaking LinkedIn network. Like, I need to start tapping into that somehow, right? So I start sending messages out, and he responds to me, and he hops on a call with me. And he goes, yeah, when I saw your message come through, I knew exactly who you were because I see your content all the time and I love it. It's really great. I love the way that you showcase
Yes.
these guys out in the field doing the hard work. He's like, I love that. That's what I'm all about, whatever. So he's not somebody, well, he is maybe somebody who would hire me down the line, but there's no need for it right now. So we have entered this relationship with each other with literally no agenda of selling each other anything, just looking at each other for like advice and whatever. So we hopped on that call just to share some insight with each other. And then I went on his podcast last week, and he's just a great guy.
That's
He's a great
awesome.
guy. Yeah. So it's like that is, and here I am posting on LinkedIn for a freaking year straight, going like, oh, here's another one going into the void. Here's another one going into the void, getting, no engagement. Nathan is my biggest fan. He's constantly liking my shit. But it's like, other than him, it's like, where are the new people at? The out of network people? Like, where are those people at? And there it is. Like people are seeing it, but they're not necessarily going to engage with it, right? So share some of your insight, because this is where your bread and butter is, which is helping people with content, right? You said you want to get away from the long form stuff, like the longer pieces. It's kind of like we're moving in two different directions with our mission here. I want to do more long stuff and more storytelling, and and this is going to be a fucking foot in my mouth moment here, but kind of the last thing I want to do is take more retainer clients, because it's a lot of freaking work and I can barely do it for myself. So doing it for 3 other people is like a big pain in the ass, and they never want to really pay what they should be paying, right? So you're always kind of like undercharging for this thing that should cost more money. But so you're moving in that direction, I'm moving in the other direction, but I'm looking for you to help bring me back to wanting to provide content for people. What has been the biggest takeaway for your clients in the process, in the program that you have set up right now that you're doing? What is it called? Do you have a specific name for it?
It's currently the Trust Catalyst 1.0 content marketing system. Soon to be 2.0 as we refine some things, but yeah, like our base knows it as Trust Catalyst.
Yeah. And what does somebody experience? What do they expect when they enter this program with you? Is it a 1 month thing? Is it 3 month, a 6 month? What does that look like for them?
It's until they get sick of us. So like I said, we are very anti-agency as well. I don't like marketing agencies in the typical model where they show up, they shoot some shit with their iPhone, they take it away into their little cave for a month and maybe spit out some mediocre shit, and there you have an invoice for $3,000. And, and you're like, what the fuck am I even paying for? I don't like that. So instead, it is as if you were to hire a professional social media marketing team in-house. So I'll give you an example. Like our current package that we're on is 8 reels a month. So it's a reel a week, or no, 2 reels a week. One is a longer form. I say longer form, but it's 30 to 60 seconds. And then a micro, which is 5 to 15 seconds. The micros are for the platform and retention, and then the longer ones are for like the audience. On top of that, there's also photos layered in. So we use all of their brand photos in all of their social media content. And then we're uploading in that specific package 5 days a week, so Monday through Friday. And in between, when we don't have stuff going on, and I think this is the only reason that it works, is we fill in content complimentary. So if for example, we get through our 8 reels for the month and we have like a dry period for like 3 weeks where they don't have any jobs coming in, especially because we work with a lot of contractors, schedules are a fucking nightmare. And for us, it's our job to make life easier. It's for us to take off of their plate, not give them more shit that they have to do. So we just decided that, we're going to charge a little bit more and we're going to be able to, just string these out for these people. Because what would you do if you were a in-house department? That's exactly what you would do. So for us, we also don't do approvals on really anything but the video content in the batch of photos and social media captions. So we come up with an entire batch of a fuckload of captions that are in 3 different stages of the, the buyer pyramid. So not problem aware, and solution aware. And each of those talks to a different type of avatar. And then they approve that whole list and all of the photos, and then the videos as they come in. We try and do them all at the same time, but if we can't, we don't. And they approve those, and then we just handle it for them. And that I found is a hell of a lot easier and a lot more valuable to them when we're not constantly hammering them with like, hey, we want to upload this in 2 days. Can you fucking approve it? Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, I'm demoing a house right now. Or no, I'm putting out this client fire. Like, fuck you. You're the last thing that I'm thinking about. You're the marketing guy. So for us, we've just kind of leaned into it.
In order to help me kind of understand like that beginning timeline a little bit, let's say, I hire you, I come on, at, this time of the month in April, we're basically at the end of April almost. How much time do you need to load up to get content filmed, get the photos, everything you need before you have like your first post date? Do you give it a few weeks? Do you give it a month? What does that timeline look like? Because it's almost nearly impossible to onboard somebody and then immediately get a production day and then have it all edited and then that gets posted in a week. That doesn't really happen, right? So especially if you said you're kind of creating a lot of it on the front end, they're approving everything in one shot and then you're just scheduling it out. So as a new client from, hey, we hired Parker to first post, how long does that usually take?
Yeah, let me get into that 1 second. I just got to make sure that the guys are okay.
If you need to go, we can.
No, we're good. I just have to be responsible and make sure that no one's like dead or anything.
Responsible. Come on, what are you, growing up?
Yeah. All right. So let's say that you got into it today. The question is always, how long is it going to take? And my question is always, how quickly can you film? So for us, really all we need is to do your kickoff call. Your kickoff call is where we get everything we need to know about you. It's about an hour long, and it's probably the worst part of our entire process because you have to sit and look at my face for an hour and tell me all of this shit that you already know. And once we get all of that laid out, how they want the content to feel, what different things do they offer to the marketplace that, other people don't, what's their mission, their vision, their values, and everything else. We even do a style snippet that allows AI to help us write like them in their voice. And that's also another big thing that helps us a lot is people and programs, and then systems. So, but getting back to, kind of how long it takes is it really depends on like how quickly we can get on site. So we usually try and start with just like the basics, who we are, what we do, our why, how to work with us, that sort of thing. So it's usually pretty quick. If we can get on set within, 48 hours, we can have your first, video and the photos cranked out in probably a week.
Mhm.
Um, and we try and make our lead time on an edited video no more than 24 hours, because we just can't afford to do anything that takes longer than that. But yeah, it's all about just your availability and how quickly we can show up.
How many production days do you try to allocate to each client a month if they're on that program where they're doing 8 reels per month?
Oh, so we got way away from that. The only reason that our website says production days is because that's how corporate America thinks, is in half and full days.
Mhm.
Really, for us, it's hours, and our one of our biggest values in the company, and we only have 4 values, but our biggest one is whatever it fucking takes, and that value has kind of allowed us a bit of freedom in what I used to go through is, okay, well, we said that we were going to get this whole mission video done in this full day, but now like these 2 people couldn't show up and we need this B-roll of this location over here that we can't make. And I was always just pissed off. I'm like, fuck, like, why can't we just get this done and whatever? And like, I'm losing money. Well, now I don't think that way. I just think, what do they need? And how long do we need to be out there?
Mhm.
So a lot of our shoots now are like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Like we've had up till now with the shoot that I'm going to, we've had 4 shoots today. And that's with the same crew. So we had one that started at 9 a.m., went to like 11. We had one that started at noon, went to like 12:30 ish, even if that. Like that was just
Mhm.
final product photos. Then we had another one right before this that was more of a probably like a 3 to 4 hour shoot that was interviews and things like that. And then tonight I've got a little, probably half-hour little shoot to just go grab some content.
Mhm.
So we've just kind of streamlined it like it would be if you had an in-house content creator, and we've also slimmed way down. I used to be one of the guys that, had to posture with our gear and, show up and make sure that the client felt like they are getting their money's worth, and that has been one of the most detrimental things to us, because they don't care. That like a camera with a nice lens on it is impressive enough. And really, like the guys that we work with now, they don't give a shit because they know how to use hammers. They don't know how to use cameras, and
Yeah.
they are very cool with not doing what we do, and we feel the exact same way.
Yeah. 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 I've had many a job sites try to offer me to start carrying some cinder blocks for them. Hey, grab that for me. I'm like, it's not what I'm here for, buddy.
Nope.
Like as much as you hate that I'm not really working, but I'm here. I'm here, buddy, and I'm
Right.
not doing your job. You're not doing my job. And sorry, it's just the way it is. So yeah, I had started this whole segment, we'll call it, by asking you what is one of the biggest takeaways that your clients get from working with you, and then I immediately asked a completely different question. So I would like for you to answer that. What has been the sentiment from, since you've had this approach where you're just like, hey, doing whatever it takes, like, yeah, this should technically take us, like, we should be able to get 8 reels shot in a day or two, but if it takes us 3 days or 4 days, like, it doesn't matter, we're going to do whatever it takes to get it done because we want to deliver to you what we said we were going to deliver and then some, right? Because you said you're typically also filling in the gaps as like a just kind of like an on the house kind of deal if it
Mhm.
needs it. But the client, from their perspective, what has been the biggest takeaway from these business owners who are just trying to do what they do for a living and not trying to be video producers or editors? What has been their greatest takeaway in your opinion?
Um, Man, that's a tough
And I
one.
guess just look to feedback that you've gotten from some clients, and what is like the common theme? Is it like saving time? Is it finding my voice? Is it reaching more people? Is it getting sales? Like,
So it depends on the person. So some of them are just happy that we've helped them get comfortable in front of a camera.
mhm,
And they don't really care about the results. They're just like, I'm just glad that I got this. Um, there's some of them who like that brand recognition, and a lot of what we hear is what we post on social media is not at all a reflection of who we are in person. And that's kind of the approach that we take now is like it says on our website now that we show the world your business through your eyes. So all the shit that you do every day, we just take it and project it. Um, and same thing with we put out this thing this week that was about how we don't do like non-competes with like different industries and stuff, because the reality is all we're doing is amplifying what you're already doing. So if you're better than them and you truly do believe that and you have the stats to back it up, what the fuck are you worried about? um
yeah.
but
Plus, they're
getting
not
back
really going
to
to
the
pay you for a non-compete. Let's face
no
it. You know,
no
small
no
businesses, they're not paying. They're not paying that.
any the last time that I was presented with that, I just doubled my rate, and I said, well, yeah, I mean, if you want to pay us $5,000 a month, sure, but it's going to go up every month too. And they were like, yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah.
But getting back to kind of what they can expect, so, and it's also like it's different client to client. So, like, for example, all of them want to build know, like, and trust. All of them want to be the household name. All of them, want to build a bigger network. But for the ones that do a lot of networking, it's holy shit, these people know who I am before I even walk in the room, or let's see, like for the used car place, like they make a lot more car sales now because they built more trust on social. And that's kind of also why we called it the trust catalyst, because trust is the catalyst for most people buying something, especially from
Hmm.
a small local business. um but yeah, it's just a lot of like, we finally are proud to show people our website and our Facebook page, and it's something that we actually feel that we have a hand in now, even though we've completely outsourced it, in a weird way.
Hmm.
um and oh, also what I've heard is like, I feel like I just kind of get to be myself now, and I didn't think that I was allowed to do that. um like, hell, there was that used car company. They're just so much fun. And one of the things that they did was a skit on Shane Gillis talking about like used car salesmen, and how like all they do is just fucking lie to people, and they all show up in a shitty polo and khakis and like all this crazy shit, and he acted all of it out, and it wound up, the whole thing ended up with him in an existential crisis, and him setting his khakis on fire with brake clean and a lighter. And
Nice.
that was the whole thing, and it got so many views, and people just loved it because it was them. They got to loosen up and like be funny. Like, these guys are just nuts, and they are so much fun to be around. But if you looked at their accounts, they used to post, like, they posted a lot, but all they posted was serious shit about how, oh yeah, we're the best used car salesman around, and blah 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 blah, here's what's on the lot this week. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Like, I want to see you destroy your fucking khakis with brake clean.
Yeah, and people are buying from people, right? So people buy from people
Exactly.
that they trust. People buy from people. Period. Blanket statement. People really buy from people that they trust, or they feel like they know, or they
Yes. Yep.
resonate with. So that is the power in just being yourself. This is something that I speak a lot about as well. I've given a few webinars to like real estate agents about branding, and it's just like, hey, if you're funny or you're quirky, you're kind of like a little fucking weird, just lean into that. Stop trying to
Yes.
pretend to be the person that you sent me their video. Like, oh, can we make videos like this person who's like in Miami, is very beautiful. I'm in the Poconos, bro. There's a lot of fucking Pocono sixes out here thinking, or maybe it's backwards, Pocono tens in the rest of the world. They're like a five. So it's like,
Yeah.
but
It's
but
Dearborn
that's not
5.
but that's not you. That's not who you are. So just be who you are. And in a very rare case that will not benefit you, like if you're a complete asshole, then maybe don't be who you actually are, because nobody's going to like that or resonate with that.
Yeah.
But if you're like a good person and you just happen to be weird, just fucking lean into that and be that, and just consistently be that, right?
Yes.
What you said though made me think of something. I've done this in the past with some of my videos. And I know a lot of people locally, or some people locally, that do this, and it's not the only thing they do, but they kind of lead with this kind of content, where it's like, one of these, like street takeovers where people like drifting cars in the middle of the fucking road. Somebody gets hit in the video, and
Yeah.
then it cuts, and somebody's selling you fucking carpet. You know what I'm saying? It's like, where do you place those kind of videos where it's like following some trend that just happens to be going on right now in the Trust Catalyst vision, like, and how you approach things? Do those things have a place there, or do you shy away from that? I mean, I have my feelings about it, but I want to hear what you feel about that first.
Well, I have very strong feelings about that. I think if there's no creativity in it, I think you're just selling garbage and like you're not contributing. Um, but at the end of the day, people go on social media to be entertained, not buy from Mike.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's how that works. So if the trend is relevant to an industry or to a client, then absolutely we'll do it. But we also make sure that we add their own personality to it. So, for example, like doing that reaction video to that Shane Gillis skit, like that was very tailored to them. Whereas, like let's just say, I'm trying to think of some like stupid trend that's been going on. Like the videos now. I mean, it was good when it started, but now it's just overplayed. Is the like locking someone up in the trunk, and then the video person being like, "Hey, how would you feel if anybody went to another competitor or whatever?" And they're like, "Oh, it's fine," and they're just like shutting the trunk.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's funny, it's okay, but also, who gives a fuck? Like it's, there has to be, I guess for us, the rule is there has to be sustenance to it, and it has to pertain to them specifically. So, like, the used car place, that might work, but others, I don't think so, and I don't
Yeah.
know, it could get views, but like at the end of the day, like that's not what people hire us for. They hire us to make a genuine fucking connection.
Yeah. So lead with value is kind of,
Yes.
yeah, that's my approach too. It's like, I don't know, man. Maybe it's because I'm fucking old now, so I just don't like even entertaining doing those kind of videos. But like it does, and I always say this to people. I say, listen, if you're gonna invest money into me and my company, we're not gonna do those kind of videos for you. You could do them, and we encourage you to do them if you feel like they will get you eyeballs. Because like these other people who I know that are doing those kind of videos, if it is getting them eyeballs, which then turns into clients, who the hell am I to say that it's not worth doing? It clearly is
Right.
worth doing for them. My hesitance with it is, where's the value? You may have entertained somebody and kind of tricked them into hearing about your new tile sale, but where's the value? Because when people are looking for an expert in what you do, they may remember you because the silly, trending videos, but how much value have you given them, and how much do they look at you as an expert or a leader in your field, right? So I shy away
They
from it.
don't.
Yeah, I shy away from it, and I always think about value, right? I tell people the easiest place to start is make a list of the most frequently asked questions that potential clients ask you and your clients ask you.
Yes.
And
Yep.
that is where we begin the journey. That will be 10, 20, maybe 40 different things. And then by the time we're through with the list, it'll be 120, 140 different things, because this thing has 5 subtopics that we can go off of. And this other thing has a couple nuances that we can go off of. And a lot of those things could be recycled year after year, offer through offer, season through season. So that's kind of where I lead from. So yeah, I figured that's where you were with that. So
Mhm.
that's why I wanted to ask you. The other thing that I wanted to say about that was just kind of like to steel man my own argument here. Like, who's doing it the absolute best right now is that Chinese guy who sells those signs. the
I
fucking
was
light up
just
signs.
gonna say that.
Yeah, his
Yes.
name is Tony, I think his name is,
Yeah.
and he's
Yep.
fucking hysterical. He does
Yeah.
like a Trump impersonation. He does some other shit, and then it's always like this. It's always he's just tearing liberal America apart, where it's just like some green haired fucking weird shit that's happening, and then it cuts to him, and he's just like, I don't fucking know, man. You're weird. Anyway, we have this green sign that we're selling right now. It's just like he does it, and he does it well, and he's very funny, so he
Yes.
could pull it off. But
You know
again,
what's
but
hold
here's
on.
the other thing that I'll say about that is he's kind of selling signs. I don't know how much fucking value you could pull out of that situation. So that might be the more profitable way to go, or the more effective way to go, which is entertainment. Go ahead, say what you were going to say.
So I think it definitely does depend on the industry a bit. But also the the thing that he did that these other people aren't doing is he built a fucking brand around it. Like
Yeah,
he is that guy. Like
yeah.
I don't even know how the quality is of his shit. Like it could suck
It almost
completely.
doesn't matter. I've
You
almost
know,
bought him many
yeah,
times.
exactly. You know, because you know what you can expect. Humans love consistency. So if you know that like you're every time you see this guy's face, he's going to be funny as shit and he's going to be tearing off, you know, the left side of America, awesome. Let's do it. You know, but if it's just like an almost car crash and then a random fucking realtor that you've never seen. It's like, hey, we have this house. And you're like,
Yeah.
cool. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
look,
going to
you
go
do
watch the
enough of
sign
those.
guy.
Yeah, you do enough of those. I mean, eventually something might hit, but then you're constantly chasing a trend. You're never being yourself. You're always trying to be the thing that somebody else had created. And yes, to your point, I don't know what that guy was doing before I've seen these videos, but that is how everybody knows him. They
Yep.
know him as that guy. There's another car salesman guy who's like a skinny white guy. I don't know where the hell he's from. Very similar thing. Some weird, always some left-leaning crazy shit is happening, and
Yeah.
then it cuts to him like, I don't fucking care, here's a black Subaru
Yes.
2025, blah, blah,
Yep.
blah. And it's just like you could tell that's who that guy actually fucking is. Like
Yep.
that's who he is all day every day. Just put a camera in front of him, let him be that. So there is some value in it. I'm not saying it's not it can't be effective and there's no reason not to do it. I just feel like if you're going to spend a couple $1,000 with me every month, you could do those, and
Yeah.
maybe you could convince me to help you with some of them, but that's not what you're really paying me for. You're paying me to help, like you said, just project what you're already doing and show it to a ton of people, and figuring out ways to provide value to these people, so that way, in the likelihood of conversion, they will convert to your customer and not somebody else's customer, because you've already given them
Yes.
all the value they were looking for. Okay, we're going on almost 2 hours here, but I did want to talk about one final thing. Earlier you talked about in-person networking. This is like the video business guru kryptonite, right? I heard it, you heard it, you heard it in all 6 programs. I heard it in
Hmm.
the one program. They hate BNI, they hate Chamber of Commerce, they hate trade shows, they hate all these things because it takes you out of their program, I think, which is probably why they actually hate it. And it does take a lot of time. So if there is a viable argument, you could make the argument of, well, you could send out 100 emails in the time that you have spent networking with your local chamber of commerce. But I want to hear your experience with it. But I will preface this by saying this is where I thrive. I hate doing sales. I hate cold calling. I fucking hate cold emailing. It feels just as slimy as cold
It's
calling.
gross.
I'm not very good at it. I'm good at talking with people. I'm good at learning about people and having a conversation. I love that part of it. It's very hard to do that genuinely with somebody's guard down on a cold call or something like that. But when you're shaking somebody's hand, you're looking them in the eye, you're at the Chamber of Commerce, you're in BNI, you're at a trade show. It's very easy for them to feel like you're genuinely being who you are, right? It's
Yes.
very hard to
Yep.
fake it when you're in person. When you're through email, very easy to fake. So, what has been your experience with in-person networking? What type of in-person stuff do you kind of lean towards more? Where have you found the wins?
So this is a Justin question, because I don't go to any of them. So
You're
he's my
just too
appointment.
weird. You're too weird for it. You just can't.
Yes. Yep.
It's fucking awkward.
I just yeah I can't be fake. I can't do it. But So Justin is our appointment setter. I'm our closer.
Mhm.
Because I have a way better time having the tough conversations with people that I already know rather than meeting people and breaking the ice. But we do not do events ever. We have found absolutely zero success in 6 months of going to an event almost every week. And I think the reason is you're all there for the same reason. You want someone to buy from you. That's it.
Mhm.
You want to give your business card to as many fucking people as you possibly can. Well, guess what? Everyone else is doing that. So no one's going to do the thing that you want them to do. But places where we thrive are leads groups. So the groups that meet like weekly, bi-weekly, even monthly, the ones that you're constantly doing a 60-second pitch, you're constantly referring people back and forth all the time, having one-on-ones with everyone, just building genuine connections. I don't think it works for every business, but for us, and with how just awesome Justin is at like connecting with people genuinely. So for example, he just did a presentation on our whole business at one of the groups, and I came in and filmed, and it was ridiculous watching him walk into that room. He just walked into the room and was talking to everyone like they were like buddies from college. Like they're just all friends. And I'm like, I pay you for this? And he's like, no, it brings in 30 grand a month. That's what this does. And like it was just fucking insane. But yeah, like all the ones that we're consistently seeing the same people, those are the ones that do the best.
Mhm. So when you said we don't do well at events because everybody's there selling,
Mm.
what are those type of events? Give me an example of one of those.
I mean, it's anything from a conference to a, oh, we're doing a men's chamber night at the local brewery or whatever. Like it's those little fucking mixers that no one
Mhm.
really wants to be at, but like your boss told you had to be there.
Yeah, I love those. The the boss always sends me. And then the ones that you feel like you're doing well, is it BNI or is it something similar to a BNI?
No, I'm not a big fan of BNI because they're just not worth the price. And I think because of that, people try a little too hard
Mhm.
because they're just looking for that ROI. Whereas the groups that we join, they're like $250 for the year, and they're even smaller than some BNIs. And it's not formal. It's laid back. I mean, there's guys that show up there and don't even wear like their branded shit, that just show up in like a t-shirt and jeans,
Mhm.
and it's because you're hanging out with your friends. You're not marketing.
Yeah. Well, when I hang out with my friends, we get nothing accomplished. So maybe that's a bad idea for me. I need something a little more structured. I'm in BNI locally. I've been in BNI for a few years, and the guru has told me I hate BNI. Don't do BNI. But when I look at the numbers, it's like, all right, it cost me like $600 for the year. And if you make $20,000 over the course of that year, or fuck shit, if you make $1,500, it's worth it because you've only paid $700. And then there's the time investment. But the trick, I think, to in-person networking, especially at those ones where you feel like everybody's there just selling, is go there to not sell. Just go there to fucking meet somebody and figure out who the fuck they are and what they do, and don't ever even mention what the fuck you do until they ask, because they will ask eventually. They just can't help themselves. But that's what I do. I go in and I don't look to sell. A lot of times I don't even bring business cards with me. I just always forget. It's just, yeah, I'm just going there to get out of the house, meet some other business owners in the area, figure out who some people are, what makes them tick. If that leads to them figuring out that I shoot videos and I'm exactly who they've been looking for their whole life, great. And if it doesn't, great. No expectation was set by me. But yeah, in-person networking, I feel like has been super effective for me. I just did a home and outdoor show recently.
I saw that.
I've been to this show prior, maybe 2 years back. I just showed up, connected with the organizer. She walked me around a little bit. I just showed up to meet her and talk to her, and I brought my camera. I filmed a bunch of shit for some people. I wound up, I think, walking away with like $10,000 or $11,000 client, yeah, from that one. And then we bought a booth this year, and it was really good. It actually went really well. Haven't locked in any deals yet from it. We gave away some free videos, which will inevitably probably lead to paid work because
It
the
always
one
does.
comp yeah, the one company, they're very locally a very established company. They've been on the fence with me for a few years, and I think
Mm,
going having the experience and actually feeling it and going, oh, this is what that is. This isn't like that other thing that other kid was doing. I
yeah.
think will be the thing that brings them to actually paying me for shit. But I feel like that's kind of where my power is. So I think I'm going to do more of those. We had a blast. I love talking to people, fucking around with old people walking around this trade show, calling everybody clearly wife for 50 years their girlfriend. Like, hey, this your girlfriend? Your girlfriend likes the popcorn. What's going on? You're like, yeah, I've been married to this bitch 50 years. It's like you kind of like get the
Jeez.
best of people. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So that's cool, man. I like to hear it. So your your journey since I've known you has been inspiring for me, just kind of watching from the outskirts here. We interact a little bit, but we don't spend a lot of time talking to each other. But I just want to let you know that I'm watching you. I do engage with your content though. And I'm proud of you, man, because I've seen you at some pretty low points, I feel like, that you've been in your life. And it sounds to me like you finally kind of figured out how to maybe not completely avoid the low points, but not get stuck there so much. And I think finding Justin has been incredible for you, man. I'm very proud of you and as far as you've come in the time that I've known you, man. So just keep pressing along. Um, Justin, man, he seems like a great guy. How do you say his last name?
Balzac.
That's what I thought. Okay,
It's
I
as
wanted you.
funny as it's
Yeah, I
as
wanted
funny
you
as
to.
it sounds.
I wanted you to say it first. His name is literally Ballsack, but he's a great guy, and I think it's a blessing that you guys have found each other and it all worked out the way it did, man. So I'm proud of you. Keep pushing along. I'm gonna let you get
Appreciate
the
it.
last word here. Let's leave people if they've made it this far, not only where they could find you, how they can get in touch with you if they're in Michigan, especially, and they need a video producer. You're their guy, but let's leave these people with a little nugget of value. What is the one thing all business owners should know when it comes to creating content, whether they're at day one or day 101? What is the one thing that they need to hear to keep going? I
Man.
know I fucking set it up really hard. Sorry.
Oh,
It better be good now. If it ain't good now, man, we just delete this whole thing and start over.
yeah, no pressure.
Yeah.
Let's see. Like I've got like a billion answers like floating around in my head, but I think if it has to be one answer, it's remember what you're doing and why you're doing it. Um, because and it means so many different things. Because social media, like if you're doing social media for social media's sake, you're not doing it right. And if you are just putting out content to put out content, you're not doing it right. You need to have a purpose behind what you're doing. You need to like know what the hell the goal is before you just start throwing spaghetti at the fucking wall. you know so know what you're doing and know why you're doing it. um that was fairly underwhelming, I'm sure, but
There was no way to live up to the fucking buildup that I gave it.
no, nope.
There's no
um
way. Sorry,
but yeah,
that's
I
my
mean,
fault. I'm learning. I'm getting better at this with each episode.
well, and what I thought you were going to ask me is, what advice would I give to entrepreneurs that are, just starting out like around my age? Because that's what everyone
Fuck
asks me
those
on every
guys.
fucking podcast. Well, fair enough. But
I'm not fucked up. I'm sorry. You want to give some value to them? Go ahead.
well, I mean, just what I had in my head was fucking build the company that you want to build and don't listen to the fucking people who tell you that you need to build it a certain way, because I'm living proof that that's not the case. And if I would have listened to them, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Find your own way. And even if that way is unconventional, you know, or even if that way is seemingly a harder road, but you feel better about it, you know? I feel like
Yep.
that's your way then. Awesome, man.
Absolutely.
Where can people find you? Where's the easiest place they can find you if they want to get in touch with you?
Oh, fucking everywhere. Facebook is probably the most active platform, but just go to primagemedia.com/linktree, all one word. And that'll give you all of our stuff. We've got podcasts, we've got accounts on every fucking platform, and a bunch of really cool stuff. So yeah, it's all valuable content, or at least for the most part. So yeah.
Awesome, man. Great job, man. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you. See ya.